Welcome back. We do apologize for being cut off there. The Ministry of Justice is set to launch its customer service charters officially on the 10th of August, followed by a public launch on the 11th of August. To provide context and detail is the Public Relations Officer in the Ministry of Justice, Mr. Edmund Khoaseb. So good evening and welcome to the Daily Roundup.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me.
Just to perhaps start with, let's backtrack slightly and please provide some background on the groundwork, in establishing the charters and, of course, what necessitated it.
Yeah, the charters come from the Office of the Prime Minister. It's part of the government's reform efforts to make sure that government does provide services to the citizens in an effective and efficient manner. And as such, the charters were then introduced. So after that, it was up to every OMAS, which is the officers, ministries, and agencies, then to internalize the charters and then give that promise to the citizens that this is how we are going to give you the service that you deserve. And as the Ministry of Justice, we then took the lead. We are the first in government to be doing this, to be launching properly, but it took a while. We had the customer service charter committee set up somewhere in April last year, and not April, August last year, and since then we have been working on it. And we thought we did it, eh? We thought we really did it. And we had a whole launch just to find out when OPM did the review on our performance in terms of the customer service charters, that it was never actually launched. So we had to redo the entire process, submit all documentation to OPM for them then to rubber stamp that it is of quality, and that's how we are now launching it, better equipped, understanding it better. As a committee, we also know what is expected of us. Some of the promises that we have made in our charter, it's better understood from the committee side, and now after we have launched, we can now better help our staff members also to implement some of the promises that we're making in the charter. So in a nutshell, it has been a difficult process. It has been time consuming because we do still have our other commitments to the ministry, but then we also know that this is a big one that we needed to achieve, and finally we are almost at the end where we can launch and when we can say, members of public, come and hold us accountable.
Yeah. And now after it's been internalized, as you've put it, what is the objective with the customer service charter for the Ministry of Justice?
So for us, the main thing is we want our clients, as we call them, to understand what their rights are when it comes to service delivery, and then to be able to hold us accountable. And what we have done is, with each charter, there are contact details for both the public relations officers, then also the operational teams, so that you can get to whoever is responsible for a service that you should be getting faster. So it's really the main point is it's to hold public officials, those of the Ministry of Justice, accountable to giving proper service, because one of our core values is excellent service. But in order to do that, there needs to be someone out there holding us accountable. But if the public does not know that they should be holding us accountable, then they can't hold us accountable. So really, in a nutshell, for us, it's accountability. Well, we are saying we will give you this, but we are also trying to encourage members of public to come up and say, but you promised me this service, how come you are not delivering?
Yeah. Speaking of core values, what standards do the charters speak to in relation to, customer service goals?
So the charters in themselves talk, first of all, to mandate. What's the legal mandate that's given to each particular directorate within the ministry, but then also as a whole ministry, what's that mandate? Why are we in existence? It's for us to make justice accessible to members of public. And if we are not held accountable to making it accessible, then we are failing. So the main one is first the mandate, but then also we are breaking it down into some of the operational things, such as if you do apply for a document, you will get your document back within a given amount of days. if you have an inquiry, both email or telephonically, you will get a response within a certain amount of given days. So we are setting that standard in terms of just ensuring that we are fast in responding to the needs of our citizens. And we do have a lot of challenges. We have a lot of challenges in terms of just the setup of how processes are. And we do have another instrument, which is the business re-engineering instrument, that will just allow us to see, based on feedback we are getting from members of public, which processes can we re-engineer to make sure that we just provide service faster.
And that was going to be my next question. Does the charter allow for feedback from members of public and how that works?
Yes. So what we have is, because the charters in themselves are from the Office of the Prime Minister, they have already feedback mechanisms within the websites of each ministry, which then allows for people to give feedback on services that have been given to them. But apart from that, we do also have internally feedback mechanisms, mostly social media. The power of social media is huge. And as a public relations office, what we do is we try to give feedback and we try to interact on a timely basis. That means you would ask a question, within a minute we'll be answering it, because we are trying to make that communication as fast as possible.
Right.
So we do have the social media platforms where we check for feedback, and then the mechanism that has been provided through the Office of the Prime Minister also allows us to get feedback. And the one of the Office of the Prime Minister is anonymous. You can just drop it there. We would not know who it is, but we would still be getting that feedback.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Just lastly, tell us about the activities around the launches scheduled for the 10th and 11th of August.
Yes, so the charter would be launched on the Thursday, the 10th. We will launch it at Nipam. That's from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. It's a short program. It's high level in its audience. We have invited all EDs from all the OMAs, as well as other organizations such as the Legal Society of Namibia, the Law Society of Namibia. Yeah, we have invited them as well, and all the other NGOs that serve within that area. And we have, that will be very high level. Our minister will be there, and she will officially launch it at that level. But then the exciting one is on the Friday, when we come to Katutura. We have decided to set up a tent in front of the Katutura Magistrates Court. We will have different stalls for all our services within the ministry. The Master of the High Court, legal aid, and all the legal drafting. Everybody will be there, where you can come through and check what are the services that you can be given access to. And then we will obviously be opening up our social media platforms, where from wherever in the country you are, you can then log on or reach out and say, this service, how do we need assistance? How can you assist us? And we will give timely feedback. Our minister will be there, our ED will be there, as well as all our head of directorates will be there. So we are calling up on our members of public, please come through, see how then you can engage with what we have to offer. Just the last thing on our charters. Our charters have also been translated into 8 languages. In Namibia, it has been translated into Braille. And then our launch in itself, we will have sign language interpreters as well. So we are trying to open it up as much as possible to make sure that access to justice is achieved.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being here this evening.
No, always a pleasure. Do look out for our social media platforms. You just put in Ministry of Justice, you will be able to speak to us on those platforms.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was the PRO in the Ministry of Justice, Mr. Edmund Khoaseb, speaking to us about the ministry's launch of their customer service charters taking place on the 10th and 11th of August, respectively. We'll be right back after the short break. Our conversations continue. Stay with us. Stephen, good evening. Masundoro Kabe.